Chapter 23, Robin Hood's Last Adventure. Now quoth Robin, I'll go to Scarborough, go that I a fisherman brave may be. When he parted from Marian and Little John, Robin Hood rode northwards for only a little distance and then turned towards the east, hoping to throw off the pursuit. But King John's men were after him still, and chased him over the bleak Yorkshire moors until they came down the long slopes into Scarborough and saw the sun rising out of the grey sea. Robin clattered over the cobbles of the little fishing town, sprang off his horse at the first inn he came to, and then stumbled away down a side street in the direction of the harbor. A few minutes later his pursuers arrived, saw his horse, and in a moment were overrunning the inn to find him. Meanwhile, Robin, stumbling with pain and weariness, found a house on the quayside where lodgings were to be let to seamen, and there the widow woman who was his hostess welcomed him kindly and set food before him. I am a poor fisherman, said Robin, in answer to her questions, and I have travelled across the country from Helsby in Cheshire. My name is Simon Lee. On the way I fell in with lawless men who robbed me of all I had and pursued me to this very place. All that day Robin rested at the widow's house, and in the evening walked out through the streets leaning on a stick. Very soon he found that all the gates were guarded, and all those going in or out were stopped and questioned. Robin sat on the quayside and gazed out over the twilight sea, wondering what to do. There were several people to whom he might turn for help, such as Sir Richard of Ley or Allen a Dale, but he knew that sooner or later King John's agents would find him out, and then his friends would suffer for sheltering him. I cannot even escape to Wakefield and take service with Georgia Green, thought Robin, nor return to Sherwood either as a shepherd with Lionel and Eglamour, or to gather a fresh band of outlawed men about me. Robin returned sadly to his lodgings, and here the way of escape was waiting for him. Good fisherman Simon, said the widow as she set his supper before him, you tell me that you have but 2 pieces of gold in the world, and that you seek for employment. Will you not then be my man, and I'll promise you a good wage? For I have a ship of my own as good as any that sails the sea. Tomorrow at the first light it sails from the quay yonder, and there lacks from the crew yet 1 fisherman. Right willingly will I serve you, said Robin thankfully, and by the next morning he had stepped aboard the ship and was sailing out into the North Sea. They sailed on for several days and then cast anchor on a sandbank while the fishermen prepared their nets and lines and cast them into the sea. But Robin, who knew nothing of sea fishing, cast in his lines unbaited and caught no fish. Then the captain jeered at him. It will be long indeed before this great lubber does well at sea, he cried. Well, I can promise him that he shall have no share in our gains when this voyage is ended, for he has not earned so much as a penny piece. Now, woe is me, exclaimed Robin, if I were but in Plumpton Park I could bring in the red deer fast enough. Here every clown laughs me to scorn because I cannot catch fish, but if I had them in the forest they would do little enough good there, I'll warrant. They sailed on for many days after this, and at length one day Robin espied a ship of war bearing down upon them. Now, woe is me, cried the captain in his turn. Here comes a French pirate craft to take all our fish from us, and maybe sell us into slavery as well, or cast us into the sea. They will not spare 1 man of us, but what can we do to escape them? Nothing, nothing, alas, and woe the day. Do not despair, cried Robin. Good captain, all will yet be well. Give me but my longbow and a good quiver of arrows, and I will not spare one of these sea robbers. Hold your peace, you landlubber, Simon, snapped the captain. You are naught but brags and boasts. If I should cast you overboard, you would be no great loss. Nevertheless, as neither the captain nor the rest of the crew showed any signs of trying to defend themselves, Robin seized his bow, and having tied himself to the mast so as to be steady on his feet, set an arrow on the string, loosed, and laid the pirate captain dead on his own quarter deck. Then, as the 2 ships drew closer and closer together, Robin loosed arrow after arrow, and at each shot a man fell from the rigging or crumpled up on the deck. Presently the 2 ships were alongside one another. Now, captain, cried Robin, loosing himself from the mast, follow me, and follow men, one and all. The ship is ours, there is nothing to fear. So saying, he boarded the pirate craft followed by all the seamen, and easily overpowered the few pirates who had escaped his arrows. When the brief battle was ended and the prisoners securely tied, Robin and the captain searched their prize and found more than 12,000 pounds worth of gold, besides many other treasures. "By the rood, good Simon," said the captain, "I misjudged you grossly. Truly men do ill to jeer at any who cannot do what they can do for themselves, for ever it seems that there is something which they can do better. Were it not for you and your skill with the bow, we would all have been prisoners or dead men by now, and therefore I say that all this treasure belongs to you." "Why then," said Robin, "half of it all belongs by right to the good widow, whose ship we sail in, and to her orphan children. As for the other half, let us share that amongst ourselves." But the captain still insisted that it was his. "Good Simon Lee," he said, "the widow will reward us well, that I am certain. Therefore take the rest, which is most assuredly yours." Then Robin filled his pouch with gold and handed the rest to the captain, saying, "Good sir, I need only what I can carry with me. Let us now hasten back to England with our prize, and do you take the rest of my share to Scarborough and there build almshouses for the poor. But first of all, set me ashore in some quiet bay on the coast of Yorkshire, for I have enemies that may await me in Scarborough." So they sailed back to England, and one night dropped anchor in the cove which has ever since been known as Robin Hood's Bay. "Farewell, brave Simon Lee," said the captain, as Robin stepped ashore with his bow and quiver on his back and a stout staff in his hands. "Farewell, captain," was the answer, "and if any ask who was the fisherman who could not fish, yet brought to land a richer haul than any of you, say that his name was not Simon Lee, but Robert of Huntingdon, whom men call Robin Hood." So, saying, Robin turned and limped away into the darkness, while the captain and the seamen gazed after him with open mouths.